thought the worst part of being trapped in an elevator would be the drop, the darkness, the metal groaning around us. I was wrong. The worst part was being trapped with Ava Mercer, my boss, senior partner, and the only woman in this firm who knows exactly how to take me apart. In a boardroom, or with a look. And tonight, I had just handed her the perfect chance.
Part 1.
We were already fighting before we got into the elevator. Even before the power cut. It was a tension-filled argument on data handling. You don't present speculative projections to a client under audit, Ava said sharply, stepping into the elevator beside me. You know that. They weren't speculative, I shot back. They were forward risk models. They were wildly optimistic, she insisted. The door slid closed before I could answer. A storm outside cracked like a gunshot. The elevator jerked violently downward before stopping. I grabbed the railing. Ava didn't.
Of course she didn't.
The woman never loses composure. The lights flickered once.
Twice.
Then everything stopped. No movement. Just rain slamming against the building's glass facade 30 floors above the street. Silence settled in. Heavy. I checked my phone. 8:47 p.m. 1 bar of signal. Most of the staff had left early because of the storm. We were alone. Ava pressed the emergency button. Nothing. She pressed it again, harder. Still nothing. The backup lights snapped on, dim amber, flattening shadows across her face. Softening nothing. We stood on opposite sides of the elevator. I was close enough to feel the heat from her body. And then my phone buzzed. Loud in the small space. Too loud. I glanced down before I could stop myself. Offer letter from Calder and Rowe. Final confirmation required. Calder and Rowe. Our biggest competitor. I felt her eyes on me long before I looked up. Sharp. Assessing. Dangerous. So, Ava said evenly. You're negotiating with Calder and Rowe. Not a question. The air shifted. It was a recruitment dinner, I said. Undisclosed recruitment dinner, she corrected. She didn't raise her voice. She never does. But she stepped closer. Not enough to touch, but enough to make it clear she could. You're an executive in this firm, she continued. You have access to live strategy, client vulnerability reports, board forecasts. If you are entertaining a competitor, I need to know. You think I handed them confidential material? I asked. I think, she said carefully, that divided loyalty becomes a liability. There it was. Liability. I had always suspected she disliked my guts and saw me as a liability. Still, the word hit harder than it should have. You don't get to question my integrity, I said fiercely. Her jaw tightened slightly. The only tell she ever allowed. She turned to me. You filed a hostile evaluation complaint against me 3 months ago, she said. You accused me of targeted scrutiny. Yes. I admitted. And now you are negotiating with our primary rival. She added. Thunder split the sky above us. The elevator trembled. You dismantle my work in every executive meeting, I contended, stepping forward despite myself. You rewrite my forecasts in front of the board. You even blocked my transfer request. That transfer would have removed you from my oversight, she stated quietly. That was the point, I retorted. Her eyes flashed. The words landed between us, charged. I felt heat crawl up my spine. I know that you regret promoting me, I said quietly.
No.
I don't. Her answer came too fast. And for the first time since I've known her, she looked almost angry. And it felt oddly personal. She took a shuddering breath and said, I promoted you because you are the most strategically aggressive analyst in this building. And because if I didn't, someone else would have taken you. Something about the way she said, taken you, made my chest tighten. The elevator gave another violent shudder. I lost my balance for half a second. Her hand shot out automatically, gripping my wrist. Firm.
Warm.
And for a second, my thoughts were less than professional. Her thumb pressed into the inside of my pulse point before she seemed to realize what she was doing. She let go immediately. Too quickly. We both felt it. The air between us changed. You think I'm disloyal, I said, my voice lower now. I think, she replied, her control slipping by a fraction. That you are reckless. And you hate that. No, she said, stepping closer again. I manage that.
Her proximity hit like static.
We were less than a step apart now. I could see the faint scar beneath her left ear, the one I bet no one else notices. Her perfume, something dark, clean and unfair, wrapped around me. You manage me? I asked. I prevent you from being devoured, she shot back. By who? The board, she said. The partners who think you're too young, too ambitious, too fast. Do you think they don't watch how often I correct you? If I don't challenge you publicly, they assume bias.
Bias.
The word hung heavier than liability. You humiliate me to protect yourself, I said. Her eyes sharpened.
No.
To protect you. Thunder crashed again. Closer. The elevator lights flickered violently and went dimmer. You think I don't see how they look at you? She continued, voice lower now, almost rough. You walk into a room and half of them are waiting for you to fail. The other half are waiting for a reason to say you got here by something other than merit. The implication sat there. Volatile.
Real.
If you leave for Calder and Rowe, she added, it confirms every suspicion they've ever whispered.
About me.
About you.
She didn't have to say the rest. About us.
You assume I care about their whispers? I asked. You should. And you also assume I care about your protection. I added. Her breath caught. Just slightly. The elevator gave another small lurch. This time, neither of us moved apart. We were too close now for pretense. You don't get to call me reckless, I said, my voice quieter but sharper. You're the one who stands too close when you correct me. You're the one who blocks my transfer and then pretends it's structural. Her expression changed. Not cold. Not corporate. Something exposed. Be careful, she said. Of what? Of misreading proximity. I held her gaze. I'm not misreading anything. Silence. The kind that hums. Rain pounded against the building. The emergency light buzzed faintly overhead. We stood there, suspended, 30 floors above the ground, professional hierarchy pressing in from one side, something far more dangerous pressing in from the other. You think I see you as a liability, she said finally. Yes. Her gaze dropped. Not to my hands. To my mouth.
Just for a second.
When her eyes came back to mine, her voice was different. Lower. You are not a liability. Not in the way you think. The way she said it didn't sound like corporate reassurance. It sounded like possession. Then stop handling me like one, I replied. Another jolt hit the elevator. Harder. The lights flickered violently. This time when she grabbed me, she didn't reach for my wrist. Her hand landed at my waist. Instinctive. Strong.
Her fingers spread.
And for one suspended, reckless second. Neither of us let go. Her hand was still at my waist. Not steadying anymore. Holding. The elevator swayed once, a long metallic groan. But neither of us moved. Her fingers were warm through the thin fabric of my blouse.
Spread.
Possessive without meaning to be. We were close enough now that I could feel her breath against my cheek.
Slow.
You should let go, I said. My husky voice didn't sound like I meant it. Her jaw tightened. But you're off balance. She drawled. I'm not. Another pause.
She didn't release me.
The emergency light flickered again, casting sharp shadows along her collarbone, the curve of her throat. Her hair had loosened slightly from the storm upstairs. A dark strand fell near her mouth. Without thinking, I reached up, tucked it back, my fingers brushing her temple. That was the mistake. Her breath changed. Not dramatically, but enough. Her eyes dropped to my lips again, slower this time. Deliberate. You filed a complaint against me, she repeated quietly. Yes. You accused me of targeting you. Yes. Her thumb shifted slightly against my waist. Do you still believe that? The question wasn't about HR anymore. It wasn't about documentation. It was about whether the line I thought she was policing was the one she was also trying not to cross. I swallowed. I believe, I said slowly, that you look at me like I'm a problem you haven't decided how to solve. A muscle in her jaw flickered.
I have decided, she said.
The words were low, controlled, dangerous. And, I asked, and you are not a problem,
she said.
The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was loaded. The storm cracked overhead again, closer than before. My shoulder bumped the wall behind me. Her hand tightened instinctively. There was nowhere else for me to go. Say it, I said. Her eyes snapped back to mine. Say what? What this is. The air thinned. This, she repeated carefully, as if testing the word. Yes.
My heart was beating too loud now.
I wondered if she could feel it through her hand. I am your supervising partner, she said, her voice slipping back toward authority. That's not what I meant, I whispered. You are considering an offer from a direct competitor. That's not what I meant either. Her hand shifted slightly higher on my waist. Her control was fraying. You don't want me to leave, I said. That is a professional concern. Liar. The word was soft, but it hit. Her breath caught, properly this time. You are reckless, she said. And you're jealous. The accusation hung there. Of Calder and Rowe? She asked. Of the fact that someone else might get to want me openly. That did it. Her composure cracked. Not loudly, not theatrically, but I saw it. The flicker behind her eyes. The flare of something she'd been strangling for months. You think this is about want? She asked, leaning closer. There was no space left between us now. Her body bracketed mine against the wall of the elevator. I should have been nervous. I wasn't. I think, I said, my voice barely above a breath, that you look at me in meetings like you're trying not to. Her hand flexed. The storm roared. Do you have any idea, she said, her voice low and rougher than I had ever heard it, how much discipline it has taken not to cross a line with you? There it was. Not confession. Admission. And yet, I whispered. Her gaze dropped to my mouth again.
Slow.
Open. Unmasked. This wasn't a flicker anymore. This was decision. If anyone found out, she said quietly, I would lose my partnership. You would lose credibility. They would say every correction, every promotion, every defense was because I... She stopped. Because I what? I asked. Because I wanted you. Because I chose you. Because I couldn't stop looking at you. Her hand slid just slightly from my waist to the small of my back.
Heat shot up my spine.
Ava, I sighed,
breathless.
I didn't mean to say her name like that, but I did. The sound of it, stripped of title, stripped of distance, did something to her. Her restraint snapped. She leaned in,
slow,
deliberate, giving me time to stop her. I didn't. Our breaths mixed. Close enough now that I could feel the warmth of her mouth without touching it. This was the line. The one she had been guarding. The one I had been pretending not to see. If you walk out of here, she murmured, her lips barely a breath from mine, and accept that offer, I will never forgive myself for not. The elevator slammed downward a full foot. The lights went out. Total darkness. Her body jerked forward with the drop, and her mouth brushed mine. Not a kiss. Not intentional. But heated contact. The emergency alarm shrieked to life. Red light flashed overhead as the backup system kicked in. Her hands dropped instantly. She stepped back like she'd been burned. The space between us reappeared, sudden and brutal. Both of us breathing harder now. The speaker crackled. Maintenance responding. Please remain calm. Elevator will reset shortly. Reality rushed back in like cold water.
Hierarchy. Consequences.
Cameras. Ava straightened her blouse with precise movements. Her mask slid back into place, almost seamless. Almost. You will not speak of what just happened, she said, voice steady again.
Corporate.
Controlled. But her pulse was visible at her throat. And what happened? I asked quietly. Her eyes flickered. Just once. Then hardened. Nothing, she said. The elevator hummed as power surged back through the system. The doors had not opened yet, but they would. And when they did, everything between us would either be embraced or be buried.
Part 2.
She looked at me one last time. Not as my supervisor. Not as senior partner. but as a woman who had almost made a decision she could never take back. Decide, she said softly, about the offer, about us, about whether this detonates or dies. The elevator jolted again as it began to rise. And this time, neither of us pretended we were unaffected. The door slid open with a mechanical chime that felt offensively normal. Fluorescent hallway lights flooded in. The storm had quieted to a distant rumble. Reality stood waiting. Ava stepped out first.
Composed.
Measured. Every inch the senior partner again. I followed. The hallway was empty. After hours. Storm-thin staff.
No witnesses.
She adjusted her cuffs, as if we'd just stepped out of a routine meeting. You will delete that offer email, she said without looking at me. Or you will disclose it formally tomorrow morning. Those are your options. There it was.
Cold. Corporate.
As if her mouth hadn't been a breath from mine seconds ago. As my supervising partner? I asked. As your superior. The word hit like a slap. I stopped walking. She took 3 more steps before realizing I wasn't beside her anymore. She turned. Impatient. Controlled. What? She asked. What was that in there? I demanded. Her expression didn't shift. An elevator malfunction,
she said.
And before that, silence. The hallway felt narrower than the elevator had. You misinterpreted proximity under stress, she said calmly. I actually laughed. A short, disbelieving sound. You had your hand on my back,
I said.
You lost your balance. She responded. You almost kissed me. Her jaw tightened. That was accidental. The lie landed between us, brittle. You don't get to rewrite that, I said, stepping toward her. You don't get to touch me like that and then pretend I imagined it. Her voice sharpened. Lower your tone. Or what? She moved before I finished the sentence. Not aggressive, but deliberate. Closing the space. You are angry, she said quietly. That is clouding your judgment. I am not angry, I shot back. I am tired of you pretending you don't feel this. This, she repeated.
Yes.
This. I stepped even closer. Close enough to see the flicker in her eyes. Close enough to feel the heat radiating off her skin. You don't get to stand in an elevator with me like that, I said, voice dropping, and then hide behind hierarchy the second the doors open. I am protecting us. No, I said. You are protecting yourself. That hit. Her composure fractured for a fraction of a second. You think this is easy for me? She asked, her voice lower now. Less controlled. You think I enjoy. She cut herself off. Enjoy what? I pushed. Her gaze flashed. You think I enjoy losing discipline around you? The words landed like a match to gasoline. Then stop trying to find it, I said. She stared at me like I'd just suggested something reckless. I will not destroy my career, she said. Then stop touching me like you're about to. Silence. The kind that hums before a storm breaks. Her breathing had changed again. Subtle, but not calm. You provoke me, she said. You retreat. I accused. You push. She claimed. You pull. You flirt in board meetings and then file complaints. She asserted. You stand too close and then call it oversight. I contended back. The words were sharp now.
Fast.
Months of tension cracking open. You only want me when you're about to lose me, I said. Her expression went still. That is not true. Isn't it? I stepped into her space again. The second I consider leaving, suddenly, I'm not a liability. Suddenly you're, what? Jealous? Her restraint snapped. Do not reduce this to jealousy. Then what is it? Her hand came up. Not gently this time, gripping my upper arm. Not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to stop me from stepping away. It is control, she said, her voice rougher now. It is restraint. It is months of pretending that when you walk into a room, my focus does not shift. The hallway felt very small. My pulse thundered in my ears. You think I don't notice?
I said.
Her fingers tightened. Notice what? The way you look at me when I challenge you. And how do I look at you? She demanded. Like you want to win. And, like you want to kiss me. That did it. Something in her broke. Her other hand came up, sliding into my hair, fingers tangling at the base of my neck. You are reckless, she breathed. And I'm done pretending. The last thread of restraint snapped, and she kissed me. Not tentative. Not careful.
Hard.
Like she'd been holding it back for months, and didn't know how to do it gently. My back hit the wall of the hallway with a muted thud. I didn't pull away. I pulled her closer. Her mouth was warm, demanding, angry in the way only long-denied want can be. All sharp edges and heat. Her hand slid from my arm to my waist, fingers curling into fabric as if she needed something solid to hold on to. This was collision. Every argument, every meeting, every too-close correction. All of it collapsing into this. She broke the kiss first, barely, foreheads touching, breath uneven. This is a mistake, she murmured. You don't believe that. Her lips brushed mine again, softer this time, but no less urgent. I could lose everything, she said against my mouth. Then stop. She didn't. Instead, she kissed me again. Slower now, still heated, but less angry. More inevitable. Her grip loosened just slightly, thumb brushing the edge of my jaw like she was memorizing it. When she finally pulled back fully, her composure was gone. Not destroyed, but altered. We were both breathing harder. The hallway still empty. The storm still rumbling faintly beyond the glass. This cannot happen again, she said quietly. It sounded less like a rule, more like a plea. I held her gaze. Then stop looking at me like that in meetings. Her lips almost curved. Almost. This changes nothing, she said. It changes everything, I replied. And for the first time since I'd met Ava Mercer,
she didn't argue.
Hi ladies. Thanks for sticking around till the end. I'm just one African storyteller, sharing love stories the world told us to hide. Please subscribe and help keep these voices alive, one story at a time.